Your voice isn't just sound, it's spirit in motion. Every word you speak carries weight, frequency, and force. In African spirituality, speech is not a tool of casual exchange. It is an act of power, a sacred technology that can bless, curse, awaken, or destroy. The breath behind the word is not just air, it is life force, divine substance, ancestral memory riding on vibration. To speak is to shape, to name is to activate, and to declare is to direct the flow of reality. In this tradition, the mouth is not merely a muscle, it is a gateway between worlds. What if sound isn't just communication, but creation? What if every word you utter isn't just heard, but felt by the universe, by your ancestors, by the hidden laws that structure existence? Across the African continent, the understanding of speech goes far deeper than semantics. Words are containers of spiritual energy. They do not simply describe the world, they make it. The right word, spoken in the right way, at the right moment, can shift the invisible. It can open doors no hand can touch. This is not metaphor. This is metaphysics. Ancient, precise, and alive. At the heart of this wisdom is the Yoruba concept of Ashe, the divine force that animates all things and makes words real. Ashe is not simply energy, it is the power of becoming. When a Babalawo speaks in ritual, he is not just reciting, he is directing Ashe. When a name is spoken over a newborn, that name carries Ashe, a vibration that sets the child's life in motion. Speech, in this context, is not ornamental, it is operational. It is how reality is commanded and aligned. This sacred understanding is not exclusive to the Yoruba. It echoes across African spiritual systems. In the chants of Kemet, the incantations of the Dibia, the naming ceremonies of the Akan, and the spiritual responses sealed with Iseee in Igbo tradition. All of them carry the same truth, that the voice is an instrument of the divine, that sound is a bridge, that the word is law. In this journey, we will uncover the hidden science of Ashe. We will listen to the ancestors and remember a truth too powerful to be forgotten. That vibration is creation. And every time you speak, you are either building or breaking. So ask yourself, what are your words making? In the beginning, there was no sword, no scroll, no institution, only the spoken word. And it was enough. In the Yoruba spiritual tradition, the universe was shaped not by tools or hands, but by utterance. The divine command of Olodumare, the supreme being, brought all into being. This power, this force that animates creation through speech is called Ashe. It is not merely energy, nor is it just potential. Ashe is the spiritual power that makes things happen. It is the current that flows from the divine into every living thing. And when it is spoken, it moves the unseen into the seen. Ashe is more than a mystical concept. It is the operational logic of the Yoruba cosmology. Everything in the universe, from rocks to rivers, from ancestors to unborn children, carries Ashe. But the human being, with the gift of speech and consciousness, is uniquely positioned to direct it. The mouth is the conductor, the voice is the instrument, and the word is the spark. When the Yoruba speak, especially within ritual or prayer, they are not simply hoping for change, they are initiating it. To speak with intention is to release Ashe, to set it in motion toward a specific outcome. This is why words are never neutral in this worldview. They either build or destroy, bless or bind. Consider the sacred act of naming. In Yoruba culture, names are not casual decisions made for aesthetic or familial preference. They are spiritual codes, declarations of essence and destiny. When a child is named, the elders listen deeply to signs, dreams, ancestral messages. A name like Ifedayo,
love has become joy, is not merely poetic, it is a command. It charges the child with a frequency. The repetition of that name becomes a constant activation of Ash, aligning the individual's path with the energy of the spoken declaration. A misaligned name can carry harmful resonance. A true name can serve as spiritual armor. Prayer too is an Ash-driven act. It is not a passive appeal, but an active configuration of reality. Yoruba prayers often involve invocation of orishas, divine forces, praise of ancestors, and clear articulation of desires. The speaker is not just asking, they are aligning themselves with cosmic flow, activating Ash through rhythm, tone, and truth. Each phrase builds momentum. Each word shapes possibility. This is why Yoruba prayers are often poetic, musical, and repetitious. The vibration matters as much as the vocabulary. Even cursing within the spiritual system is recognized as Ash in motion. A curse is not just angry language, it is Ash wielded with destructive intent. It is believed that when someone with strong spiritual alignment curses another, the vibration it carries consequences. This is not superstition. It is vibrational law. The power of a word lies not only in its meaning, but in the mouth that speaks it, the breath that carries it, and the Ashe that energizes it. To curse unjustly can backfire. To speak falsely while invoking Ash is to distort divine order. And that distortion always seeks correction. Invocation, the formal calling forth of spiritual power, is perhaps the clearest example of Ash activation. Whether during ritual, festival, healing, or personal prayer, to invoke is to channel. The speaker becomes a vessel through which Ash flows. Elders, priests, and spiritual practitioners train for years, not just in knowledge, but in speech. How to speak, when to speak, what to speak. The wrong word at the wrong moment can disrupt. The right word, spoken in rhythm from a clean spirit, can heal generations. To understand Ash is to understand that language is sacred technology. It is not just about what you say, but who you are when you say it. The purity of your intention, the alignment of your energy, and the clarity of your voice all determine the power of your words. In Yoruba cosmology, silence has its own Ash. But when you speak, you activate the divine. This is the power that makes words real. Not metaphorically, spiritually, energetically, irrevocably. Ash is the breath of the gods moving through human mouths. And once released, it does not return empty. In the ancient temples of Kemet, the power to rule the physical world came not just through armies or architecture, but through the mastery of speech. The Egyptians had a name for this power, Heka. To the modern mind, the word Heka is often mistranslated as magic. But to the ancient Kemetic priests, Heka was not about illusion or trickery. It was the sacred science of utterance. Heka was speech imbued with divine force. It was the original creative power, the breath of the gods that gave form to the formless. To speak with Heka was to echo the moment of creation itself. In Kemetic cosmology, the universe was spoken into being. The god Ptah, deity of artisans and divine craftsmen, was said to have shaped the world not with tools, but with words. His tongue was his chisel. His breath was his blueprint. The world responded not to his strength, but to his speech. Heka was the technology he used, and through it, creation unfolded, structured, alive, and vibrating with divine purpose. Every god, every aspect of nature, every human being was animated by Heka. It was not separate from existence. It was woven into the fabric of reality. Pharaohs were not merely political rulers. They were divine intermediaries who were trained to wield Heka as a form of sacred governance. When a pharaoh stood before the gods, he spoke not as a man, but as a living embodiment of Ma'at, truth, balance, order. His words in ritual were not symbolic, they were performative. To say it was to make it so. When the Pharaoh declared abundance for the Nile or protection for his people, he was not offering a wish, he was casting a spiritual command. And behind that command was the authority of Heka. The priests too were master users of the sacred speech. In temples they chanted hymns, read incantations from papyri, and whispered prayers into statues, scrolls, and the ears of the divine. These were not performances. These were acts of alignment, ways of tuning human voice to cosmic frequency. The incantations were often rhythmic and repetitive, with the tones designed to resonate with the energetic field of the temple and its divine inhabitant. Each syllable was a spark, each vibration a bridge, each prayer a path through which divine power could be summoned and directed. There was also a strong emphasis on the conditions of the speaker. One could not wield Heka effectively if one's heart was impure or their body unclean. Priests underwent purification rites before uttering sacred words. The mouth had to be made worthy. This principle echoes across African traditions, from Yoruba Ashe to Igbo Iseee, where the speaker's alignment is just as important as the words spoken. The power of speech is not in articulation alone, but in spiritual congruence. The parallels between Heka and Ashe are striking. Both systems see words as living forces. Both insist that sound is not merely an effect, but a cause. Both understand that the voice, when used with sacred intention, becomes a tool of transformation. Ashe is the animating breath. Heka is the ordering tongue. Together they represent an ancient African understanding that language is not descriptive. It is generative. To speak is to create. To chant is to build. To call is to open portals. The universe listens when the speaker is aligned. In this light, the ancient Egyptian temple becomes more than a place of worship. It is a sound chamber, a vibrational laboratory where voice and divinity meet. The word, spoken with Heka, reshapes the invisible and, in turn, the visible. It calms storms, restores balance, and invokes the gods. It is not a metaphorical magic, but a metaphysical science. And its legacy is not lost. It lives on, echoed in prayers, incantations, and the rising awareness that speech, true, sacred, intentional speech, still shapes our reality. In Kongo cosmology, reality is divided not by chance but by the sacred threshold known as the Kalunga line, a luminous boundary that separates the world of the living from the realm of ancestors. This line is not rigid or impermeable. It breathes and pulses with energy. It marks where breath becomes spirit and where matter becomes memory. Through this veil, movement is possible, but only intentional movement. Ritual, chant, invocation, and sound are the metaphysical keys that open and close this passage. The Kalunga is not just a place, it is a portal, a vibrational portal, and the frequency of the soul determines whether it can cross. Sound occupies a fundamental role in this cosmology. To the Congo, every chant, drumbeat, or spoken invocation aligns you with the vibrations of the ancestral plane. The spoken word is not merely symbolic, it is operational. When a ritualist chants at the Kalunga crossing, the chant carries a resonance that invites ancestral presence into the sacred space. In that moment, the boundary shimmers and parts. The ancestors do not travel physically, they vibrate. They respond to those frequencies. Thus, sound becomes a bridge, a channel through which spirit and matter communicate. Rhythm shapes the threshold. Voice navigates the veil. The heartbeat of the drum is a cosmological map. In ceremonial practice, drumming patterns correspond to different spiritual entities and ancestral layers. A practitioner might play a sequence whose resonance aligns with a specific ancestor or spirit guide. With each measured pulse, they are matching frequencies, signaling to beings beyond the veil. The Kalunga becomes negotiable. Paths open. Messages emerge. This is not mysticism. It is metaphysics. The drum becomes an energetic key. The dancer's foot becomes an algorithm. The song becomes transformation. Chanting baptismal songs, naming invocations, and community Iseee, call and response, are also methods of vibrational passage. During initiation or funerary rites, the speaker recites sacred phrases while the community responds. These collective frequencies amplify the effect. The Kalunga line reacts not to individual sound, but to collective resonance. When voices unify, ancestral gates unfold. In that space, dreams are consulted. Wisdom is received. Healing occurs. The boundary becomes permeable to alignment, not accident. Rhythm in this cosmology is not linear. It's circular, cyclical, and alive. The cycle of life, death, and rebirth is mirrored in drum loops. The songs of descent correspond to the journey of the soul through twilight realms, while the songs of ascent correspond to return. Each vibrational cycle is a spiritual algorithm. Each tonal pattern is a passageway. The venerated cosmogram of Congo, the four-pointed sacred cross, is reflected in rhythmic points: birth, dawn, life, noon, death, sunset, and ancestry, midnight. To speak or drum through these seasons is to align with the soul's trajectory. It is to map movement through sacred geography. Invocation calls, particularly those addressed to the ancestors, are vocal acts that seal movement through Kalunga. An elder may chant the name of a departed forebear 3 times into the night air, not as repetition, but as frequency stacking. With each repetition, the ancestral presence strengthens. The boundary responds. The spirit listens. The veil parts. Invocation is not petition. It is resonance. And it is recognized as such on the other side of the Kalunga line. Living in alignment with these practices means understanding that sound is not entertainment. It is power. It signals. It transforms. It transports. A drum in the village is not background. It is conversation. A chant is not decoration. It is declaration. And the Kalunga line is not a mythological boundary. It is an energetic barrier that breathes, reacts, and responds to vibrational alignment. To engage this truth is to realize that reality is built on frequency. That our voices, our songs, our silence, they all tune us toward the ancestral frequency. And if we listen, respect, and align, we can cross thresholds, trace lineage, heal trauma, and remember what we have always known. Not from memory, but from resonance.
In Akan spirituality, speech carries the weight of creation. At the heart of this belief is Nsa Nka, the sacred art of spoken blessing and name invocation. In Akan communities of Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, names are not superficial labels, but energetic signatures woven into the fabric of identity. To name is to call someone into existence. Each name vibrates with frequency and intention. From the moment a child is named, that vibration courses through their life, aligning them with cosmic patterns, clan energies, and ancestral legacies. Naming ceremonies are deeply intentional events. Elders and spiritual leaders gather to invoke ancestors, read omens, and listen for the right name. They understand that to misname is to misalign. A child named prematurely or without spiritual attention may walk off course. Conversely, a child named with ceremonial precision receives an energetic imprint. Names like Kwame, Afua, Yor, Akwa indicate the day of birth. These day names come with spiritual traits. Kwadwo is calm, Akwa is courageous, Yor is firm. But beyond day names, there are clan names, spiritual revelations, and familial invocations layered into identity, each with associated proverbs, chants, and blessings. Oral tradition is central to this process. Proverbs are used to invoke character, morality, and cosmic memory. When someone is named, elders often accompany the announcement with proverbs that seal the intention. A name for a future leader might be complemented by Obra Brene Boafo. Life's excellence is one who helps. These sayings are not filial, they are vibrational codes. Combined with Nsa Nka, they program the child's spiritual environment to reflect respect, humility, service, and purpose. They create collective scaffolding that supports destiny, not just reputation. Speech in Akan culture is also a form of spiritual hygiene. Elders teach that curses arise from misaligned names or careless words. A clan name carries ancestral lineage, and to speak it with disrespect is to dishonor generations. Conversely, blessing someone by using their name in the right tone, rhythm, and context can open portals of opportunity. The voice of the elder carries ancestral memory. When elders speak, they speak not only for themselves, but through their ancestors. Their voice programs a reality through intention, lineage, and resonance. Behind the words is not just meaning, but presence. This principle extends beyond individual naming. At festivals, funerals, or life milestones, the voice of the elder program shifts, not through sermons, but through spoken poetry, chants, and blessing formulas. A speaker might begin with Nyamenti Buno, invoking divine sanction before saying someone's destiny or launching a communal ritual. This invocation aligns hearts, mindsets, and atmosphere. Nsa Nka, the spoken blessing, is thereby a spiritual key, unlocking faith, weaving alignment, and calibrating community frequency. To name is to call into being may sound poetic, but in Akan spiritual science, it is operational. Names held and spoken in ceremonial context tune a soul to ancestral frequency. They become energetic anchors that guide behavior, influence spiritual environment, and connect individual identity to cosmic order. Words spoken with ceremony shape not just identity, but destiny. Furthermore, Akan society practices call and response naming chants. When a person enters a gathering, their name is chanted and the assembly responds with a blessing or affirmation. This communal resonance reinforces alignment. The group voice amplifies the power of name vibration. It is spiritual programming at scale. The individual's destiny is acknowledged and strengthened by the community's collective frequency. To live within this tradition is to live with intention. Every name you speak, every greeting you offer, every praise you give holds frequency. A well-chosen name, spoken with clarity and reverence, becomes pure vibrational code. A blessing not just heard, but felt. Speech in Akan tradition constructs identity, sustains community, and programs a reality with sound intention and ancestral alignment. And so, Nsa Nka is more than ritual. It is spiritual software, scalable, precise, sacred. In Igbo spiritual tradition, words bear immense energetic force, and among the most potent is Iseee. More than a simple affirmation like Amen, Iseee serves as an energetic seal, a sonic closure that activates and sustains what was just spoken. When invoked at the end of a prayer, blessing, or proclamation, Iseee is not simply agreement, it is embodiment. It charges the spoken intention with resonance, anchoring it in spirit and sealing it in vibrational law. To hear someone say Iseee is to know that what came before is no longer just a wish, it is now a spiritual reality in motion. Spoken word in Igbo ritual contexts functions as invocation, curse, protection, and prophecy. When a dibia, the Igbo spiritual technician, speaks, they do so with calibrated intention. Their words are not casual, they are structural. In a healing session, a dibia may call on specific ancestors, chant incantations, and seal the ritual with Iseee, binding the invocation into being. In cases of adversity or spiritual risk, a curse may be spoken.
often with the same rhythmic vocal power, but sealed with a reverse Iseee meant to drive disturbance away. Prophecy too is delivered not only through narrative but through tonal shifts and final sealing. In every case, the Iseee acts as a universal enter key, launching the intention across realms. The communal voice plays a powerful role too. Often, prayers or declarations are not finished until the community responds together with a unified Iseee. This is not spectator participation, it is activation. The collective response amplifies the vibrational field, ensuring the intention is held by more than one soul. At ceremonies and gatherings, when a child is named, elders bless the child, invoking destiny and reverence, and the crowd responds with Iseee. In that moment, the name, the intention, and the collective frequency converge, and the future is aligned. This communal seal solidifies purpose in both the individual and the collective fabric. Central to this practice is the role of the dibia, the trained spiritual mediator who speaks for both the ancestors and the community. Dibias are not simply healers or counselors. They are oracles who calibrate sacred speech with precision. They learn to modulate tone, rhythm, and nuance, understanding which words carry which frequency. When a dibia seals a prayer with Iseee, they are not finishing a statement. They are setting an intention in motion across dimensions. Their proficiency transforms language into spiritual code. Healing sessions with a dibia are structured through vocal initiation, engagement, and sealing. The seeker might describe their affliction. The dibia then decodes its spiritual root through divination and crafts a spoken prescription, chanted prayers, incantations, or a blessing. Each phrase is both directive and dynamic, designed to recalibrate spiritual flow. At the end, Iseee signals that the transformation has been initiated, resistance has been overridden, and spiritual momentum is activated. In situations of justice or moral correction, the dibia may facilitate in confession, ritual realignment, and final sealing. When there has been broken trust, wrongdoing, or violation of spiritual ethics, the truth is spoken aloud, the spirit is cleansed, and the word is sealed with Iseee. There is no forgiveness without accountability, but when alignment is restored, the spiritual field acknowledges the reset. Iseee becomes the vibrational signature of renewal. What underlies this is a clear metaphysics. The word is not neutral, it is creative or destructive. It binds or it frees. It heals or it displaces. And Iseee is the mark of intention, turning speech into spiritual action. When applied sincerely, Iseee does more than conclude. It consecrates. It ensures the breath becomes altar, the voice becomes covenant. In modern spiritual practices, Iseee may seem foreign, even esoteric, yet its logic is universal. Anytime you intend and then affirm, anytime you seal your words with breath, you are engaging in vibrational shaping. The dibia's Iseee is ancestral code, but it is also a reminder every sincere word you seal can resonate like an ancestral decree. Words matter. Tone matters. Breath matters. Intention matters. So if you find your voice, speak with care. If you hear the prayer, seal it within. If you are part of the collective, respond with Iseee. Because in Igbo wisdom, that word is not passive. It is charged. It is alive. And it is still shaping reality today.
Words are not accidents, they are instruments. Every syllable we release carries direction, weight, and force. Across African spiritual traditions, from Yoruba Ashe to Kemetic Heka, from the Kalunga resonance of the Congo to the Akan science of naming and the Igbo seal of Iseee, one truth emerges: speech is sacred action. It is never casual. It is always consequential. The voice is not simply a sound maker. It is a tool of transformation. a channel for spirit to sculpt reality. To speak is to engage divine law. The moment your breath becomes a language, you enter the realm of creation. The utterance becomes a code, the vibration a signal, the intention a command. Whether blessing or curse, naming or chanting, invoking or responding, your words are crafting outcomes in real time. This is the hidden science our ancestors knew intimately. They didn't speak to impress, they spoke to align, to heal, to invoke, to shape. They knew that the mouth was a portal and that every word carried consequence. In the quiet space after our prayer, the word Iseee rings like thunder in the soul. When a name is declared, its vibration unfolds through the years, calling the bearer into their destiny. When a dibia chants over the ill, their voice doesn't just express, it instructs reality to rearrange. Even silence in these traditions is understood not as absence, but as reverence for the power of the unspoken. The wisdom here is ancient, and yet it meets us urgently in this moment of forgetting. So now, the remembering begins. Remember that your ash is energy in motion, that your words are living tools, that your name is a map, your prayer a technology, your blessing a vibration that echoes through unseen realms. Speak with clarity, speak with responsibility, speak with soul. And as you move forward, carry this invocation like an ancestral whisper. May your ash be clean, your Iseee be strong, and your words build worlds. May your speech align with your spirit. May your breath carry intention, not impulse. And may you use your voice not just to speak truth, but to make truth. If this awakened something ancient in you, let it live. Share it, speak it, pass it on. Comment below, not just with reactions, but with remembrance. Like subscribe, and above all, listen to your own voice, because it is not just yours, it is your ancestors' breath speaking again through you